Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you are doing good, man. We miss you guys so much. Man, I also hope that you haven't ran out of your quarantine snacks yet, because if you have, man, I bet you your house has gotten real. Man, if that's the case, dads, I found a product yesterday that I know you want to get.
This.
Yeah, the twins are plugged in, baby's asleep. How hard can this get?
We're men. Besides, I bumped into Chuck Norris at a Pizza Hut once. I think his powers rubbed off on me.
Get out of here. Go on, enjoy your mommy getaway weekend. Oh, this weekend was a bad idea. You remember what happened last time we watched the kids?
I'm not a pinata!
Get it off me! Get it off me!
Yeah, we're gonna need help. Warning, use of this product may alter your perception of reality. All right, everything looks the same. This is a joke.
Guys, it's like the Sahara in this cup. Can somebody hit me with some juice? And listen, pulp, no pulp, doesn't make a difference to me. You're the ones dealing with the diaper.
Mom goggles!
It's beautiful!
Okay, sweetie, I need you to sit on your bottom. Listen to Daddy. You sit on your bottom, okay? Daddy's gonna come get you. Don't move. Don't dance. Just sit on your bottom. Okay? Daddy's gonna come get you.
Whoa! Don't you try to stop me.
Baby made a poopy, yes you did.
Where are your mom goggles?
They wouldn't fit over my hazmat suit.
Take this.
Oh, so cute,
Yeah, I need a pair of those, for real. But for real. Now, when you guys were with us before, we had just started a series on dating, and the plan was to jump back in and actually continue that series on dating even while doing this. But then I got to thinking about it. This virus has got your dating life shut down. So I thought, you know what, we're going to move forward, and we're actually going to jump into something else. Did you know that we only have 3 weeks, 3 short weeks until Easter? And so I wanted to just move forward and actually spend the next 3 weeks posturing our hearts for Easter and asking the question, man, what makes Easter Easter? What is it about Easter that is so important for us to lean into during this time so we don't miss it? And so for the next 3 weeks, that's what I want to do. I want us to just talk about, you know, what is Easter? How do we posture our hearts to truly celebrate Easter? And so over the next 3 weeks, we're going to be looking at how because of Jesus, separation has been destroyed. Because of Jesus, sin has been defeated. And because of Jesus, death has also been defeated. And at the end of this, the Next Gen team, coupled with Kevin at our Prosser campus and Christian at our West Pasco campus, we're all going to come together and actually do a Good Friday service for all students across all 3 campuses. It is going to be amazing. You don't want to miss it. All right, so let's jump in. Easter, a time for fake grass, plastic eggs, these things, chocolate bunnies, and people dressed like bunnies. And then there are the weird things about Easter, like fake grass, plastic eggs, these things, chocolate bunnies, and people dressed like bunnies, which is interesting. But what does all this stuff have to do with Easter? And if this holiday is more than just eating candy, or wearing uncomfortable clothes to church, or having dinner with your relatives, what's it all about? Or in other words, what makes it so happy? So this week, I want to start by asking you a question. Have you ever felt separated? Right? I get it. I get the times that we're in. But no, seriously, have you ever felt separated? Separated from a friend, separated from parents, separated from a situation? Maybe it was your fault. Maybe it wasn't your fault. Maybe everyone tried out for a team and yet you didn't make it, and so then you felt separated. Maybe you actually tried out for the team and you're the one that made it and your friend didn't, and so because of that, you're separated. Maybe it was something you did. Maybe it was something you didn't do, but as a result of that, you are now separated from something or someone. Maybe your parents have gotten a divorce, and because of that, now you have to spend parts of your week separated from one of them. No matter what it is, one way or another, whether it's our fault or not, we have all at some point in our lives felt separated, again, from something or someone. And I know what you might be thinking, man, this doesn't really sound like a reason to celebrate Easter. And you're right, separation isn't. And the cool thing is, Jesus actually came to bring us back into right standing and into community, not only with Him, but with others, even when we don't deserve it, even when the separation is our fault. The Bible puts it this way in Romans chapter 5, verse 8. It says, "But God demonstrates His own love for us in this, that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us." Jesus was all about bringing us into a right standing relationship with Him and with others, all for His name's sake. Let's look at a guy in the Bible by the name of Zacchaeus, found in Luke chapter 19. Starting in verse 1, it says this: Jesus entered Jericho and was passing through. Verse 2, a man was there by the name of Zacchaeus. He was a chief tax collector and was wealthy. He wanted to see who Jesus was, but because he was short, he could not see over the crowd. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore fig tree to see him, since Jesus was coming that way. When Jesus reached the spot, he looked up and said to him, "Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house today." So he came down at once and welcomed him gladly. All the people saw this and began to mutter, "He has gone to be the guest of a sinner?" And so here Jesus is walking through Jericho, and like always, when Jesus was around, there was a crowd that started to form. And so a guy by the name of Zacchaeus was a tax collector, and he wanted to see Jesus, but the Bible says that he was short. So short that he couldn't see Jesus beyond the crowd. So he ran ahead, found a sycamore tree, climbed up, and then whenever Jesus came by, he was able to see Jesus from where he was in this tree. Jesus sees him up in the tree, calls him by name, and says, "Zacchaeus, come down. Basically, I'm going to hang with you tonight." And the Bible says that when the people saw Jesus hanging out with Zacchaeus, they started to mutter. Now, they didn't say things of joy like, "Wow, I can't believe Zacchaeus finally got to meet Jesus." No, instead, they were like, "Who is this guy? He's hanging out with a sinner," which tells us that the people didn't like Zacchaeus. Zacchaeus was actually on the outs. He was separated from the people. Now, don't go throwing Zacchaeus a pity party just yet. You have to understand why the people don't like Zacchaeus, why Zacchaeus was separated and on the outs from the people. The people were actually Jewish people, and they were underneath Roman rule. And the Roman government wanted the Jewish people to pay taxes. Now, they didn't collect those taxes themselves. They actually had other Jewish people collect those taxes for them. Think of it like this. Think about whatever middle school you go to. Let's say your rival middle school comes in and says, "Look, from now on, this middle school belongs to us, and you're going to have to pay us $1 a day for you to continue to use that locker." But they don't actually collect it from you. They get the guy or the girl who actually has their locker right next to you to work for them, and that person travels up and down the hallway all day collecting $1 from each student just to keep the locker. Now, how do you think you, along with your other classmates, are going to respond to that person? Yeah, you're going to see them like a traitor. You're going to see them as someone who's like, man, instead of standing with us, you actually are siding with them, and you're going as far as taking money from us to pay to them. Then it also talks about how sometimes if the Roman people said, "Look, just to make this in terms that we can all understand, if the Roman people were saying, look, collect $1, sometimes the tax collectors would say, you know what, they want me to collect $2. And what would they do with the extra dollar? They'd pocket it themselves. That's why the Bible says that Zacchaeus was also wealthy. And so that's enough to make the Jewish people look at tax collectors like Zacchaeus with distaste, to call him a sinner, to say, look, man, he actually is one of them. He's not one of us. And so he's somebody we should separate ourselves from. But the cool thing is, none of that matters to Jesus. Jesus sees Zacchaeus and immediately begins to draw him into a relationship with him. And so in this case, Jesus comes and eliminates separation. And so again, Romans chapter 5, verse 8 says, but God demonstrates his own love for us in this: while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Before we knew him, we were separated from him. But the love of Christ stepped into our separation and called us back to him. And as we lean into him, it allows us to be in right standing with others as well. And because of that, Easter is something that is worth celebrating. It puts the love of Jesus, the power of Jesus on display, the power that not even the grave could hold him. And with that power, he steps into our lives and brings us closer to him. And that's why we celebrate. Because of him, though it may feel like we are separated, we aren't. And so if you're feeling alone today, I encourage you to look around. You have family and friends who love you. And even though you're not able to come here and hang out and laugh and play ping pong and all of these things like you used to, look, there's still so many other ways for you to lean into the fact that you are not alone. And most importantly, Jesus, he will never leave us nor forsake us, and so he is with us. I encourage you to lean into his word, lean into worship, lean into the Bible studies that we have coming up. I encourage you to lean into the times where we are on Zoom and we're on Google Hangouts and we're doing pop-up parties and we're staying in community so that we won't allow separation to creep into our lives. Why? Because Easter shows the power of Jesus. And with that power, he came in, just like he did with Zacchaeus. He steps into our lives for the better, to eliminate separation. If you take this in, if you believe this, I promise you, it will posture your heart for this season to be a happy Easter. Again, we love you. We miss you. We want you to continue having this conversation with other family members and friends. You can do so with the questions that we have listed in the description here. Also, starting next week, we're going to have our breakout groups that you normally have on Sunday mornings up and running so that after next week's message, you'll be able to log in to a Zoom address where it'll be your breakout group leader and the other people in your breakout group so you can continue the discussions as close to what you were doing on Sunday mornings. Again, we love you, we miss you, and we hope to see you next week.